Right, and the three persons, Dr. Peter Appiah-Hene, who is an assistant professor with over 10 years working experience in the computer science industry, and he is with he's the head of Department of Science and Informatics at the University of Energy and Natural Resources in Sunyani. There was, right after the elections, the potential ministers for that region came up, and there was this flyer that circulated, and he was one of those that was said to be in contention. And the flyer also described him as a patron of TESCON in that region. TESCON is the NPP's student wing. Since his name came up, people have brought up some footages, including radio discussions where he's vehemently speaking in favor and supporting government policy. Not just government policy, but speaking as though, you know, he was speaking for a party or as a party communications person. The next person is Reverend Kwakye Ofosu. Reverend Kwakye Ofosu has not drawn so much attention. She's Director of Programs for the Anglican Diocese of Accra, a member of the United States Trade Advisory Committee on Africa. She served on the 2020 Eminent Advisory Committee of the Electoral Commission of Ghana. I know her beyond that because we are both fellows in the Africa Aspen group. I'll tell you a bit more about her beyond this. And then also we have Hajia Salima Ahmed Tijani. She's a banker with close to 2 decades experience. She's a senior remittance officer at the Agricultural Development Bank. She's a member of the Chartered Institute of Bankers and associate member of the Boardroom Institute. There's also a lot more to say about her as far as her affiliations are concerned that you may not have heard yet. There's a lot that's been dug up on her as well. So let's begin with you, Felix. Yeah. What exactly are your issues? The Constitution says once you have the competence and qualification of an MP, you can be an EC member. They are supposed to be chairperson, 2 deputies, and 4 other members. And that's exactly what has happened. And these are replacing 3 other people who I suppose would have retired.
Samson, I watched the insert you played, which the president made those comments about what he thinks the role of the EC is, or how elections should be determined, or the outcomes of elections should be determined. And once again, I come to the conclusion that his words ring hollow, as has been the case on many, many occasions. He simply does not mean what he says, and he doesn't say what he means. Because the occasion on which he made these comments was the very occasion where he has appointed this well-known MPP fanatic into the leadership of a body that is supposed to serve as a referee in elections that are conducted between the NDC and MPP and other political parties. There's a reason why the Electoral Commission of Ghana is mandated to be independent in our constitution. The reason is that the framers of the constitution do not want interference with their work in a manner that makes the playing field uneven and swings elections unfairly in favor of one participant or the other. That is the fundamental principle. So when the time comes for people to be appointed to the commission, and the president launches such a gratuitous attack on the independence of the commission by appointing somebody who is known, not just known to be a supporter or sympathizer of the party, but a member of the party, who I'm told has contested elections before on the ticket of the party, is a known communicator who has publicly gone to defend the positions of President Akufo-Addo and the party, and who has been patron of the students' wing of the MPP. It calls for condemnation. And you see, I do not understand why in this country there are sections of people who simply allow President Akufo-Addo to get away with the murder that he's engaged in. I'm talking about using it figuratively. So, Samson, tomorrow, if for any reason there's a vacancy at the Electoral Commission, and President Akufo-Addo, President Mahama is president, he appoints me as Electoral Commissioner, is it going to sit well with the people of Ghana? All those people who have kept quiet and are watching on for this desecration of the independence of the Electoral Commission and other institutions, will it sit well with me, with them, if I, as rapidly NDC as I am, is appointed as the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, simply because President Mahama has the power to do so? There are some things that we cannot accept, and this represents a new low in the systematic effort to demolish the credibility and independence of state institutions and tie them to the apron string of President Akufo-Addo and his MPP, so that they will have absolute control and dominance over all strata of our society. This is what it is about. Already, the manner in which the old leadership of the commission was removed through frivolity, and I think it was frivolous. The charges leveled against them were laughable. The manner in which they were removed and replaced with people whose conduct at least has tended to create the impression that they have sympathies for the MPP was problematic enough. It generated huge uproar. And consistently, what they have done, the effort they have made to make it more difficult for people to vote in this country than what they have to do, has generated considerable disenchantment amongst the people of Ghana. So the last thing we expected was that President Akufo-Addo was going to put the icing on the cake by appointing an openly MPP person to be part of the commission. You see, we cannot accept this. What it simply means is that you cannot look forward that elections held in this country where President Akufo-Addo and the MPP have a stake will have the sort of fairness and balance that it should have. And that is the reason why you constantly see that there is tension between the EC and the NDC, for instance. They are simply not prepared to listen to anything the NDC says, because it appears that they have an objective. They think that their mandate really is to entrench President Akufo-Addo and his party in power at all costs, even if they have to undertake some of the most shocking and most bizarre operations, like this insistence on a Ghana card as the only means of registration, at a time when they know that it is not everybody who qualifies to vote who has that card, and it is not through the fault of those individuals that they do not have it. It does not make any bit of sense, but they will implement it because that is what President Akufo-Addo and his MPP want. Now, the president is going for broke and appointing hardcore MPP members. Look, we in the NDC will never sit down for elections to be skewed in favor of the MPP ab initio, even before the first ballot is cast. And if it is the intention of President Akufo-Addo to use these sort of things to give the MPP unfair advantage, then he is grossly mistaken. It doesn't matter what he does. Even if the elections are held in his bedroom, to the extent that his governance has been this poor, and they have destroyed our economy and every facet of our life as a people, and inflicted this sort of pain and hardship on us, the people of Ghana, I'm sure, will speak in a manner that will make it impossible for any sort of manipulation to change the verdict. So all that President Akufo-Addo and his MPP are setting us up for is more tension going up into elections. Because what is the point? There are many people. You see, you made a point about the gentleman's qualification. Something. There are 1,001 Ghanaians who have even more better credentials than this man. So really, if it's just about credentials, there are many people you can find who are not tainted politically. Who can do this role. I do not remember any time in our history where state institutions were so blatantly and frontally politicized as we have had.
The question others have asked is, what do you guys want the president to do? He just come into office within a period where many people are retiring or leaving certain offices and he has to fill them. In the judiciary, you accuse him of packing the judiciary. But the thing is that every time he's making appointments to the judiciary or the Supreme Court or High Court or Court of Appeal, it is because, you know, they are replacing people who need to be replaced. In the NCC, also there has been appointments which were confirmed he inaugurated together with, sworn in together with these people. So what is it? What should he do? For the EC, these three people are replacing Mrs. Hajia Salima Meida, Mr. Ebenezer Agrifin, and Mrs. Rebecca Kabuki Ajololo, who have all retired. You mentioned one person. when it comes to the woman, the only link from all the information that has been Salima, the only thing that has been used, sort of linked, she's been linked to, is the fact that the husband is Sheikh TB Bamba, who is a former MCE, former MP, and Ghana's ambassador to Saudi Arabia until, is it 2020 or so, and that her sister is the current CEO of Maslock. What does that do? That the pointing to the fact that, is it her sister, not herself, who has indicated publicly that she was going to contest elections and so on and so forth. Can people be independent despite this? When it comes to Kwakye Ofosu Boateng, the Reverend Minister, we have told you she has had opportunity with the Electoral Commission, the eminent panel. She is a member of the United States Trade Advisory Committee on Africa. She serves on as a board member on the board of the Otumfuo Osei Tutu II Foundation. She's a co-founder and executive director of Appointees, a faith-based foundation, and she also is an author. She's the author of the book Broken for Use. She has done well for herself in terms of her academics. She's got an MBA from Indiana University in the USA. She's got a Master's of Arts degree in ministry from the Trinity Theological Seminary in Legon. She has a Bachelor of Science degree in engineering physics from the Miami University in the USA. The only thing people say is that, well, she preaches on a radio station owned by the cousin of the president. So what?
Nobody has mentioned the name of the Reverend Minister. I don't think so. In the case of the other lady, you have established a certain relationship, even if tenuous, which suggests that she has some level of political exposure. At least she's related to somebody who is known to the MPP. But you see, you can avoid that, because what that does is to deepen suspicion of an institution that already has acted in ways to engender that suspicion. Already, Jean Mensah and Bosman Asari are people that we have deep suspicions have sympathies towards the MPP, at least because of their previous conduct in their previous roles. Again, the manner in which they even came into office.
So if you fault Jean Mensah, who else will you not fault? Because Jean Mensah was running IEA,
yes, but even a
governance think tank that has contributed immensely to our democracy.
We have had running battles with the IEA. I'm sure you know. We don't have time for me to go through all the issues we have with the IEA, even in terms of their posturing on the political landscape. And these things are important. The Constitution does not require the EC to be independent for fun. So that requirement must be met. Can you, in all honesty, say that this Appiah Hene guy meets the requirement of independence? How do you pluck an MPP person, non-MPP person, and go and put him on a commission and say that we should not comment?
Okay.
Given all that has happened with the EC and the way that they even behave, look at their posturing towards the NDC. You have the deputy or a commissioner of the EC who goes on radio and describes the NDC as the biggest threat to Ghana's democracy. That is a political statement. How are we in the NDC supposed to accept this? How do we accept that such a person can preside over free, fair, and transparent elections, given the history that we have had in the last few years? Then, to make matters worse, you go and make this sort of appointment, and you have spared no effort to highlight the credentials of the individuals. Granted that they are professionally qualified, but I have made the point already that you can find 1 million Ghanaians with such credentials who are not politically exposed or politically tainted. At the very least, you cannot trace their political support for any party.
Right.
But these people simply do not mean independent. What it simply means, before I land up, just one before I come, what it simply means is that nobody can guarantee that these people will act independent of President Akufo-Addo and his MPP. That is essentially what we are saying. And I've posed the question to you, Samson. What President Akufo-Addo has done simply means that if tomorrow President Mahama is president and he appoints me as electoral commissioner, Richard Hayagba should keep quiet and live with it. That is essentially what he has done.
Yes, Richard.